Senate voted to kill a bill that would have blocked the U.S. from carrying out $1.15 billion in tank sales to Saudi Arabia. The bill had bipartisan authorship but was overwhelmingly opposed by leadership. Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, one of the authors, said he never expected to pass the resolution anyhow, but hoped to press Saudi Arabia on its large civilian death toll in Yemen, saying that the Saudis clearly don't want to see debate on the U.S.-Saudi alliance on the floor of Congress. Nor, it seems, did most of the leadership, with Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying the bill would mean the U.S. retreating from its role of guarantor of international order, and other hawks insisting that the Saudi alliance is far too important to allow Yemen war crimes to interfere. The tank sale was a comparatively tiny portion of over $100 billion in arms sales to Saudi Arabia throughout the Obama presidency, but blocking it would have been seen as a significant sign that the Congress is growing uncomfortable with backing the Saudis in Yemen. It is unclear how much Saudi Arabia lobbied on this bill, as it was not expected to pass either way, and substantial effort is currently ongoing to try to uphold an Obama veto on the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act, which would have allowed 9/11 victims to sue Saudi Arabia for its role in the lead-up to the attack. Both the Senate and House passed that bill unanimously, but there is expected to be considerable numbers of switching sides on the veto override vote. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, "Sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic." Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports Mylan CEO Heather Bresch on Wednesday defended her company's EpiPen pricing, which had reached $608.61 for a 2-pack of the epinephrine auto-injector, telling a skeptical House committee that a generic version at half the price should be available soon. The top Democrat on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, Representative Elijah Cummings, accused the company of using a corrupt business model and repeatedly raising EpiPen prices. Cummings said he is concerned that the drug companies are raising prices repeatedly for the medication that lacks competition. He called for more than just an apology from Bresch, but also a solution. The EpiPen device delivers a regulated dose of epinephrine to someone in the case of a severe allergic reaction. The price of the EpiPen 2-pack has increased nearly 550% since Mylan bought it in 2007. Bresch, whose father is West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, said repeatedly that Mylan makes $100 from each EpiPen pack after subtracting the cost of research, staffing, and more. Bresch's salary has also increased with EpiPen prices in the past 8 years. Bresch earned $2.45 million in 2007, compared to more than $18 million last year. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a number of U.S. cities are introducing proposals to mandate community oversight of police use of digital surveillance technology as evidence mounts that poor and minority neighborhoods are being more heavily scrutinized than others, according to civil rights activists on Wednesday. The legislative measures are being introduced by lawmakers in 11 cities from Seattle to Washington, D.C., and are backed by a coalition of 17 groups led by the ACLU and NAACP. Malkia Sorrell, executive director of the Center for Media Justice, told reporters on a conference call during which the proposals were announced on Wednesday, "We need to build the legislative power of local communities to prevent high-tech racial profiling and policing from turning our neighborhoods into open-air prisons." The proposed legislation would mandate city council approval of the use and purchase of surveillance equipment and input and oversight from communities on how it is to be used. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
From the creation of the Bible in 1912 by a struggling Baltimore book salesman to the day in 1493 when Christopher Columbus and his crew looked back on their voyage and realized what they truly discovered was themselves. The Onion looks back at This Week in History. On July 21st, 1969, astronaut Neil Armstrong became the first human to set foot on the surface of the moon. The moon, for Christ's sake.
This is Tranquility Base. The Eagle has landed. H. Christ, Houston. We're on the moon. Over.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy that. We cannot believe you are on the moon.
I'm descending the ladder. Just one more step and I'm wholly living. I absolutely am standing on the surface of the moon. Jesus H. Christ in a chicken basket.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. And last night we were talking about zero tolerance. And in a lot of cases, zero tolerance means 0 cents. We got on the topic because there was the story about the 12-year-old boy who, in Michigan, his mom bought him a backpack from Goodwill. He goes to school, finds a pocket knife, thinks he's doing what he's supposed to do, goes and tells the counselor. He wound up initially being suspended for the entire year. They've since reduced that to 30 days. And we teased the fact that there are some places actually getting rid of zero tolerance. And since we teased it for about an hour last night and never got into it, I figure it only makes sense to begin the show tonight with that. And in studio tonight is Daryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
The story comes from the Associated Press, and apparently Illinois schools are now required to limit long-term suspensions and expulsions under a new law that eliminates the use of zero-tolerance policies that are used to severely punish students for certain offenses. The law took effect last week. This was dated the 18th, so it took effect about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago, and is designed to reduce the number of days that students are removed from the classroom and encourages school administrators to use suspension as a last resort. Now, Conan, I know me and you are about the same age. Chris, you're just a couple of years older.
Well, thank you, Daryl. That's very kind of you. I do appreciate that.
But no, the only reason I mention that is because I know that when I was in school, suspension was sort of a last resort sort of thing. It was only used for the most severe punishments.
Yeah, and I can't remember anybody actually being
you get into a fight, you get suspended for a couple of days.
Yeah, but even when I was in school,
it was like 3 strikes, you're out. When I was in, so you had to get into 3 fights before they suspended you.
And it was always in school too. I mean, there was none of this send a kid home. This was you
go sit in the special classroom by yourself.
You do that, or you're staying after school, and that was probably more of what we.
So
had.
You stay after school. That's detention.
Okay, well, that's probably as tough as it ever got.
Yeah. So suspension is where you are not allowed to show up on school property for X number of days.
I know what it is now.
And then they had in-school suspension where I went to school. They had one of these modular trailers. They actually had a bunch of modular trailers, but one of them was the in-school suspension trailer, so that anybody who did something that, all right, you can't be with everybody else, but it's not severe enough to where we're sending you home. You go to the in-school suspension trailer, you sit in there, somebody brings you your lunch, and you do not leave this trailer unless you have to go potty.
Did you guys nickname it the cooler? Because I would have.
Why would we call it the cooler?
It
was not cool in there.
That's the sarcasm. That's the irony.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the name.
You're in there sweating and you're in pain, and yeah, everyone calls it the cooler.
It actually wasn't that painful. I had to sit in there for a couple of days one time.
I know that there were detentions like that where you just went and sat somewhere, but a lot of detentions that I remember involve going and working, picking up litter or scrubbing the sidewalk.
Right, so that's detention, not suspension, something completely different. But now, they have this zero tolerance. Oh, you took a bite out of your Pop-Tart, and now it looks like a gun. So therefore, you're violating the weapons policy. You go home. You can't come back for a week.
And and they're out for an entire week. And what's the amount of days you can miss is extremely important. If you don't graduate, then now you've got this clown in your school for another year.
And I just never got that either. I mean,
if you can pass the tests, if you had the grade, and that's the worst part. If you got a straight A student and she got sick for a month or something, and they failed her.
Well,
I remember that happened to a particular girl.
Yeah, and let me just talk about out-of-school suspension from my own personal experience, which means I had a kid who was kind of a brat. He had his moments. He acted up, and they would do that. They would say, you've got 3 days or 2 days or 5 days of out-of-school suspension. And I'm like, that is exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be in school. That's why he's acting out. So you're going to send him home where in today's society, most parents work. So the kid's going to be home unsupervised.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, exactly. What did we teach? We taught that if you act up, you can get out of school.
We teach that if you act up in a work situation, you get unpaid leave or paid leave. It's a vacation.
But they're never going to associate that. A student isn't going to associate, a suspension, a 5-day suspension, with what may happen in life. They're looking at this week and, hey, that got me out of a test. That got me out of this. Well, and then you put the kid behind.
I don't know about that, because where I went to school, and I'm going based off of 20+ year separation here for memory, but I'm fairly certain that when you got suspended, they would send home your assignment. So
correct,
they're like, here's all of the work that you're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
Granted, you don't get that in room,
and that's the point. And I'm only going to speak from experience here, Alex, if you're listening. The kid would typically wait till Friday or whatever the last day possible was to jam in the homework, look up as many answers as he could. He missed whatever he would have got if it would have been like chemistry classes, labs, and things like that. So, and then you have a kid coming back into the class who's been out for a week, who may have questions, who's now going to start asking more questions, which is going to take away time from
slow all the other students
down.
So let's continue with the article here. And the legislator that actually introduced this in Illinois, Senator Kimberly Lightford, said, so it becomes a school system that says, what can we do to keep this student in an academic setting? That is, the repealing these suspensions of, well, you broke the rule and the rule says you have to get suspended. So getting rid of that, she's saying we need to keep these students in this academic setting. Illinois lawmakers passed the bill overwhelmingly last year, and states have been rethinking zero-tolerance policies that gained prominence following the mass shooting at Columbine in 1999. Colorado and North Carolina both eliminated zero-tolerance policies 5 years ago in 2011. Florida passed a law in 2009 that encouraged schools to consider alternative forms of discipline instead of referring problem students to law enforcement. Now, I don't know if either one of you know, but I know, again, where I went to school just outside of Birmingham, Alabama, they would have a thing to where if somebody was sort of a problem student, not necessarily, to the level of you are getting expelled sort of problem, but just, like sort of being disruptive or whatnot, they would send them to the VOTEC. So, the vocational tech high school thing was not something that smart kids opted into. It was where they just sent the problem kids to get them out of this situation and let them do something with their hands.
It sounds like they're getting a better education than the academics. Go learn a skill.
Yeah, go learn a trade.
I think there was definitely a juvie type institution that I had a couple of friends end up having to go to, but I don't know what they specialized in. I don't know if it was vocational, but because our school did have a couple of trade departments. It wasn't really big, not as big as I think it should have been.
Oh, when I talk about personal
and a lot of the dummies went to it. It was very surprising.
Right,
and they probably left high school and went straight into good jobs because they actually had experience. They actually learned, good skills.
I would dare say that every high school across this country probably does not have a big enough, shop technical VOTEC sort of thing. Because that's what you should be learning. You should be learn a skill, learn how to actually function as an adult outside of this forced education system.
Right.
And learning another language, a second language, not necessary, especially if you...
I disagree on the learning another language. We can discuss that and your thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. See website for details.
Need some extra cash today? Do you have bad credit or maxed out credit cards? If so, turn your radio up. 45cash.com is one of the nation's largest personal loan networks with over 50 different lenders. Now you can get a personal loan for up to $5,000 with any type of credit discreetly from your computer or smartphone and with no paperwork to send in. That's right, no paperwork whatsoever. Your cash will hit your bank account as soon as tomorrow, as our lenders have millions of dollars to lend regardless of your credit history. Visit 45cash.com and you can have up to $5,000 in no time. Just have a checking account and a regular source of income, and you can get the loan you need now, regardless of your credit. Go to 45cash.com from your smartphone or computer to get the cash you need. Visit 45cash.com. Type www.45cash.com directly into the address bar. That's 45cash.com. 45cash.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $3 lower at $1,340 per ounce. Silver is 18 cents higher at $20.07 per ounce. Bitcoin is $595 US. Both metals made big jumps because of continued inflationary policy announcements from the Fed and Bank of Japan. For more information, call Robertson Roberts Brokerage today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about zero tolerance. You know, those rules and policies that schools across the country have that say it doesn't matter why you did what you did or that you didn't intend to break the rule. You broke the rule, so therefore here's the punishment. And some of these are just absolutely absurd, like the story about the kid that was eating a Pop-Tart and had bit it into the shape of the letter L or a gun, depending on which way you hold it. And he wound up getting suspended for violating the weapons policy. There was another story where some kid had actually grabbed a cardboard letter L and used it to play, like Cowboys and Indians or, Cops and Robbers or something, and wound up getting kicked out of school for violating the weapons policy. And, there are other things along those lines that happen. Well, apparently, schools in Illinois are getting rid of zero-tolerance policies thanks to, and this is not something that is said in a non-ironic way very often, thanks to the Illinois legislature, because they actually passed legislation earlier this year to reduce the number of days that students are removed from the classroom and also to encourage school administrators to use suspension as a last resort. Colorado and North Carolina got rid of their zero-tolerance policies 5 years ago, and legislators in Florida passed a law in 2009 to encourage alternative forms of discipline instead of referring problem students to law enforcement. The article from the Associated Press continues, the new law in Illinois requires schools to suspend students for more than 3 days only in cases where they pose a threat to the school, and all other disciplinary options, including counseling or involving them in after-school programs, have been exhausted. For longer suspensions, schools will be required to give students support services while they're away and allow them to make up the work they have missed. And that's something that we were talking about when you do suspend someone and you remove them from school for a long period of time, they're losing a lot of, that not just the classroom experience of interacting with other people, but they're possibly, losing out on actually learning stuff or possibly being able to even make up the work that they missed.
And can I insert here that this is by no means me endorsing our current public school system.
I don't think anybody sitting in this studio right now would endorse the current school system that we have.
I don't either, but I think there are plenty of problems there. But I also think that that sometimes the model does kind of work. And I think I got a decent education, but I went to a much smaller school than most people I've ever met.
I would say that I got a pretty good education at a public school. And, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're from Alabama, so you learned how to add 2 plus 2 and come up with something other than 5. Well, yes, I did. And, the school that I went to was actually a blue ribbon school, meaning that it was, like one of the, I think they give the blue ribbon for the top 1% of high schools in the country.
I don't know. But
so, it was a really good, as far as public schools go, it was a really good public school. But even with that, there were things that I, wound up learning well after I was out of high school that it was like, why did I never learn that when we were discussing American history?
Oh, speaking of, you were going to tell me why learning a foreign language is a good...
Well, you said it's completely useless.
Well, I didn't mean to say that.
That's what you said.
Okay, there are more important things to concentrate on than learning a foreign language that you're never going to use.
Maybe.
Now, if you're going to actually go to another country,
you can say that with a straight face in this culture that we have today.
But you just wound up making my point is... Yes, a lot of people like to travel. When you travel, not everybody speaks English.
How many people travel?
Well, I don't have the statistics in front of me for how many Americans wound up buying tickets to Europe last year.
Is
millions.
Is it even necessary? Especially when
they should be speaking American anyway. So here's what if we have to have this thing called public schools, I know where you're going, Conan, but my argument would be I'd like to see them do away with the classes that provide no future life value, and I guess there are some of those. But learning another language is a valuable skill in America. This is one of those things that a lot of employers are starting to look for. We have a very diverse population that is seriously changed. My God, if you knew Spanish or Mandarin or a French even. Depending on what part of the country you're in, that could be really valuable.
And you can pick those up very easily in college.
Well, you could, but not everybody's going to go to college.
When you're actually closer to making a decision what you want to do with yourself.
But
when you're in high school, most of these kids don't know what's up. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what they want to do. They're going to live with their parents until they're 26.
Sure.
I would say that there were other classes that I took that I absolutely had no reason to take other than
trigonometry,
pre-cal, and trig. The only reason I took that is because for the diploma that I was getting, I had to take a certain number of math classes, and after geometry, the only math class that I was allowed to take was pre-cal and trig. I wanted to take statistics, but you can't take statistics until after you take pre-cal.
Okay, so let me relate my experience because I thought this was interesting. It is compared to most people. I grew up in a small town in the eastern half of Oregon. You guys know that.
Yes.
I graduated in the top 10 of my class.
And there was only 10 people in there.
There were 12 people in my class. Thank you very much. But the point is there's a class of 12 people. My whole town had maybe 250, 300 people in it total. But this school is so small, kindergarten through 8th grades in one building and the high school's in another. And that's it. That's just the entire thing. But we had a teacher who liked to follow up with students, keep in touch with them, and compile statistics. And we were beating every neighboring town and everywhere, mostly in the state, in the number of kids that went on to higher education. In the average GPAs and things like that, in testing scores and things like that. So to me, I kind of look at where my son ended up going to school in Pennsylvania, went to high school. It was like a factory. I mean, this thing was a sprawling campus, thousands and thousands of kids, classrooms with 30-ish, plus kids in them. It's nuts. And I just don't see how that model can produce people that are ready to go out.
And that's what they want because they're closing schools here in the area. They're closing little small schools that would be perfect for neighborhoods to send their kids instead of having to send them halfway across the city.
Right.
To the other side of the city. They're on a bus for 40 minutes to an hour.
And I had a point to make versus language courses too, but we'll get to that.
Yep, we'll get to that and your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Are the answers to your present and future hidden in your past? Akashic Readings help you learn to unlock the answers for love, finances, weight loss, self-esteem, confusion, grief and loss, and more. Akashic email readings by Dr. Kelly Maroon, PhD, are specially priced right now. Learn more at Dr. Kelly Maroon's website, akashicuniversal.com, spelled A-K-A-S-H-I-C universal.com. Change your life today. Become one with your true path with intention on purpose. Visit akashicuniversal.com.
ProPure water filters, making water great again. Taste and feel the difference with state-of-the-art filter technology. Pro 1 G2.0 and Pro Max filters are independent lab-tested to NSF standards. Choose from Gravity, countertop, pitcher, shower, and inline filtration products. There's a ProPure for you. Buy risk-free today. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
You can't win if you don't enter, and you actually can improve your chances of winning a prize drawing if you wrinkle up your entry blank. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com, and I speak from experience. Why this works: if they'll be spinning the drum before drawing, your entry blank will move around more than, and not adhere to, other perfectly flat entry blanks. And if they don't spin the drum and merely reach into a box full of other perfectly flat entry blanks, many of which are sticking together, yours will feel different to the person reaching in. When you win, act surprised. And if you're looking for work, this is a metaphor. For more tips on sticking out in a world where just too much blends into the blah, 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 hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
Hundreds of videos of people posting, the snow in Georgia isn't real because if you take it and you wad it into a snowball and you hold a lighter to it, it doesn't burn. And it leaves these charred black marks. And it's like, yeah, that's the way snow behaves everywhere because it's ice. And there's way more molecules in, a block ice than there is in a match.
Because size does matter.
Yeah, extremely. When it comes to temperature, absolutely.
Can't you cut the Southerners a break? I mean, they've never seen
No!
snow.
If you think that there's a conspiracy out there to spray plastic snow across the
is that
entire,
what they're saying?
entire state of Georgia and you think that the snow isn't real, you're a moron!
Wait, is that what they actually say in the video?
My friends and fellow patriots, it's a conspiracy. They're spraying chemtrail snow all over the state of Georgia.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Is it important to learn a foreign language? I say yes. Chris says yes. Conan says absolutely not because Americans are all dum-dums and ain't nobody got time for that.
Absolutely not.
But I'll tell you something else.
Unless you plan on actually using it.
I'll tell you something else that's important and you can use to save 10, 15, 20% or more on things you're going to buy from Amazon. That is saveatpurse.com. So you go to saveatpurse.com, create an account, then go to Amazon. You put things in a wish list, import the wish list into your purse account that you created with saveatpurse.com, and then you fund the account with Bitcoin. And again, you can save 10, 15, 20% or more if you don't want to wait, because you do have to wait a couple of hours to wind up getting those bigger savings. You don't want to wait, but you still want to save 5%. You can still do that using what they call Purse Instant. Instantly save 5% on things you're going to buy anyway from Amazon. That's saveatpurse.com. So you wanted to make some points, Chris, about why you think it's important to learn a foreign language. So please educate Conan.
It was that, and it was the idea that if you're going to have schools, then the courseware should be useful and have an applicable something that's going to help further you in life. Otherwise.
So I'm going to play Conan's advocate here for a second and say that, yes, you should be learning things that are going to be important and that you'll use in the future. And nobody in the United States is ever going to use a foreign language because reasons.
Yeah, I don't. What I disagree.
They should be forced to learn this language that no one remembers.
Well, that I disagree with.
Did you take a language?
I did.
In high school
because
or in college?
I chose to take a language. It was not forced upon anybody.
Most of the high school language courses were voluntary because like you said, you got to choose which tree you wanted to grow up.
And I decided that I wanted to take 2 years of Latin.
Of course, you would pick a dead language.
Yeah.
And I got better grades in Latin than I did in English because English is an absolutely horrible language and the rules of Latin make sense.
I don't disagree with that.
This whole I before E, except after you run a feisty heist on your strange beige neighbor.
For example. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but as long as, people have choices, if they're being forced to take something other than... Oh, God, I hate to even talk about this stuff because I use the word force. But if the goal is to get somebody educated, I think we would all agree that knowing how to read, how to write, and how to perform math are essential. That old reading and writing and arithmetic.
The 3 R's.
Yeah. On top of that, I think there's a lot of things that can provide you with skills that will benefit you later on, and I think those should be options. And... I don't know what a high school courseware looks like or what choices children have now, but I think having that option for another language, I'd encourage my kid to take it today. Absolutely. Spanish or particularly Spanish.
And I would also add that should be included for college courses where you focus on your degree. And not necessarily on all this other nonsense, all these fillers.
Right. I went to college for 2 years, and I would say about 1 year of the 2 years was just filler BS.
Yep.
You need to take an art appreciation class. You need to take a music appreciation class.
Oh, and by the way,
you have to take the same history class you took in 10th grade and the same math class you took in 8th grade. And no, those were not remedial. Those were the required classes.
Oh, you didn't take a foreign language in high school? Oh, sorry. Now you've got to take it in college. I know you're never going to use it, but, it's a requirement if you wanted to get your degree.
They don't require foreign language in college.
Probably depends on
some degrees do require it.
So right. So if you're doing like international business, then yes, you need to learn how to speak
pretty much every
language.
bachelor's at Austin P in Tennessee required a foreign language.
I think if we were looking for just the most insane courseware, then you do have to go to secondary schools. You have to go to the colleges to look at, I want to take a course in Monty Python appreciation, or
actually that sounds pretty good.
Well, that does, and I would take that.
That sounds like something that if it's going to exist, should be part of the continuing education, not an actual class during the middle of the day. We'll continue this, but let's go.
That taxpayers are paying for.
Let's go to the phones. We've got Rusty calling in from Texas. Rusty, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, howdy guys. Just a brief thought here. Some of the judges down here in Texas will require people to either get their high school diploma if in lieu of community service, or actually learn a second language, primarily being either Spanish or English if Spanish is their native language down here. I want to get your thoughts on that. And then also, would you consider Spanish a foreign language? Because down here, it's close to the border you get, it's the language of commerce. Most people speak that. Walmart makes advertisements in Spanish and all that stuff. Just wanted to pick your brains on that.
Yeah, so I did live in San Antonio before I moved up to New Hampshire, and I wish that I knew more Spanish than I do. I like to say I know enough Spanish to be dangerous. Like I, can count and I can say a few naughty words, but I can't do anything practical like ask where is the bathroom or where is a restaurant. I could order 2 tacos, dos tacos, por favor. But I could not tell you to hold the lettuce and the tomatoes and only give me meat.
Right.
When I was in Honduras for 2 months, no one spoke English. I did just fine. No one understood me. I didn't understand anybody, but there was plenty of pictures I could point at. You go into Wendy's and you'll point at, I want uno.
Oh, my.
And here's the money. And, it was all right.
Well, I think to your first point, where judges are doling out requirements to either finish a very basic level of education or to learn a second language, I guess the alternative is if you say, no, I don't want to do that, then you just go to jail. Is that kind of how it works?
Or you're actually doing community service.
Or you're busting rocks.
For your community, which is what it should be. I can kind of wrap my brain around the bettering yourself, bettering your education, but learning a foreign language. I mean, if you have to go pick trash up off the highway, or you can sit in this nice air-conditioned room and learn a foreign language that might actually benefit you, what are you going to choose?
Well, I don't think there's any question about it.
And then you're not servicing your community because unless you can make the argument that learning
there
Spanish,
are some people that don't want to learn anything. There are some people that would be like, screw this. I'm not sitting in no class.
Right.
I'll go pick up garbage.
But still, taxpayers are having to pay for this foreign language teacher to teach knuckleheads instead of actually going out and doing the community good.
They'd be paying to put them in jail if the person refused to go do community service.
Community service.
If they refuse to do community service.
How often does that happen?
Right. But Rusty, I mean, to me, it seems like if you were an Anglo and you lived down there and you didn't know Spanish and you got in trouble, if the choices were go pick up trash alongside the road or you learn Spanish, that seems like it would be a very valuable skill in that particular geographic area. Would it?
Yeah, it would be. I don't know if the state should mandate that to a certain degree. I think, incentivizing it, I think that's what they're doing. But when you mandate that in lieu of community service, I don't know if I could agree with that.
I like the concept of alternative, sentencing to where instead of, putting somebody in jail, or if it's somebody that has previously, gotten in trouble and you order, do community service and they say no because they're lazy, put them in a classroom. Have them learn something. Rusty, thank you for the call. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. What are your thoughts? Alternative sentencing? Learn a foreign language as part of a punishment? Or should you just do it?
All right, listen up, because this is the most important thing you're going to hear all day. What if I said you could make money flipping houses without any cash, credit, or manual labor? And what if I said you could do it part-time from the comfort of your home? Sound unflippin' believable? Hi, I'm Preston Neely, and I'm going to prove it by sending you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It sells online for $19.95, but I'm giving away free copies this week. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-4295. I used to be so broke, I had my electricity shut off 9 times, but I figured out a simple way to make money flipping houses without even breaking a sweat. Now I'm living the good life, and so should you. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. Hands down, it's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate. Let me prove it. Call right now to find out how to get your free book. When they're gone, they're gone. Call 1-800-960-4295. 1-800-960-4295.
Keep yourself and your wallet healthy with Wellness Plus with Plenty at Rite Aid. In addition to Plenty points, earn Wellness Plus points every time you shop. $1 spent on everyday items gets you 1 point, and get up to 25 points on every prescription you fill. When you've reached 1,000 Wellness Plus points, you'll get 20% off our regular prices for a year. And that's just one of the 4 ways to save. Now through September 24th, spend $50 a week on participating products at Rite Aid and earn 2,000 Plenty points worth $20 in savings. Visit riteaid.com/rakinpoints for details.
I've been teaching organic chemistry for the last 17 years, so I'm pretty good with complex calculations. But when I started thinking about my retirement, I was pretty stumped. Luckily, I have TIAA as my financial partner. Together, we retrosynthetically analyzed my financial future, which is organic chem speak for we figured it out.
Your personal success takes a financial partner who values it as much as you do. Learn more at TIAA.org.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is...
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait
now.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about, well, we started off talking about zero tolerance policies in schools and then went on to talking about learning a second language. Should you do it? Is there any value in learning how to communicate with people that don't speak English? And then that sort of, brought up the topic of, in some places in Texas, judges are coming up with these alternative penalties. So instead of, putting somebody in jail for some minor offense, the judge is giving them the option. You can either do community service, or you can go get your GED, or you can go learn a second language. You can do something to improve yourself, to hopefully get yourself out of this situation to where you think that you have to go rob and steal and do other things. Thoughts from Chris or Conan?
I'm not crazy that these alternatives are paid for by the people. If there was a way to...
The probation officer is paid for by the taxpayer. So no matter what sentence the taxpayers are on the hook.
But at least with community service, there is service going back into the community.
In
whether
theory.
Whether it's working at the library or working at the...
And you could say that there's value coming from a chain gang because ditches that weren't dug before are now dug.
Them license plates ain't going to make themselves, Daryl.
There you go.
But... I don't know. But you could make the argument that, all right, so the guy's getting his GED. Now he is one step closer to being a normal.
Being a productive member of society instead of a drain on society.
Right.
And that benefits everybody, whereas if he just goes, and picks up some garbage on the side of the road and then next week goes back and does petty crime.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, the recidivism rate is higher in some areas, lower in others,
yes.
but I think you can attribute some of that to levels of education, employability, you know what I mean? The skills that one has and whether they can find work.
Your calls and thoughts, welcome on this or whatever is on your mind. 855-450-FREE. We go now to Greg calling in from New York. Greg, you're on with Daryl, Chris, and Conan. Go ahead with your thoughts. Do we have Greg? Greg in New York. Let me put him back on hold, and I'll try him again in another couple of minutes.
And you know what? As far going back to the foreign language and why we need it, a lot of whenever we've been to a number of school budgets here in Keene, and you always and those are usually the first or the second courses that get cut whenever budgets start shrinking, or and they'll come out and they'll try to defend their position as in it's a brain builder. It's a cognitive builder. It's good for memory. It's good for putting two and two together. And they always bring that argument up, and not that this is something the kids will actually use after high school, some other time in their life. They never make that argument. I've always found that curious. They always bring up the argument that it's a brain builder.
Well, I would say that a lot of what they're teaching people in school, they're probably not going to use, or if they do, they don't realize that they're going to use it. And I see
like pre-calculus.
Right. The only reason I took that was because I had to take another math class to get the diploma that I wanted.
So you were forced. You wanted the diploma. You took something you didn't want to take. It was your only option. You were forced to take it, and you probably don't remember any of it. Probably don't remember. Yeah.
No,
I don't remember trigonometry. I don't remember calculus.
You could have not taken it and not graduated.
No, I would have graduated. I just would have had a different diploma, but I didn't want the other diploma.
So you had a choice.
Right. I had a choice, and I'm using that in air quotes because,
I understand.
Like when the way the high school thing worked, when we entered 9th grade, they said, here's 4 different diplomas that you can say that you want. And I went for the second highest one because I didn't want to take a bunch of, advanced placement classes. And so I went for, the second highest one that allowed me to wind up taking the most electives while still, learning the important stuff, if you will.
Like Latin.
And right, because
I'm giving you credit because that was a valuable thing.
2 years of foreign language. I did 9th and 10th grade foreign language. My senior year, I only had 2 academic classes: a required English class and the required government class and the required economics class. So one semester was government, one semester was economics. Those were my 2 academic classes. Everything else was electives. I took sign language, and then I had a library aid class. I had home ec. I had lunch, and then something else, and then the government economics, and then athletics was 7th period, and that was football practice.
Did you have to buy your own graphing calculator, or was that provided by the school?
Well, I didn't need a graphing calculator for sign language or economics
I'm talking about in high school.
English. Oh, if we were using one, we had to buy it ourselves.
Yeah.
Had to buy that $100 Texas Instrument something. What is it? The E385. It's the same thing that they're using right now.
Yeah,
high schools are using the same calculator now as they did 25 years ago.
But guess how much it costs now?
And meanwhile,
still about $100.
About $100.
Meanwhile, their cell phones are up in a basket on the teacher's desk.
Yeah.
Where they can't.
So is there a graphing calculator app for a cell phone?
I'm sure there is.
I'm sorry, when I went to school, we used graph paper. That's what we used.
We had graph paper as well. I remember in 9th grade, I think it was my 9th grade algebra class. We had the graph paper to do parabolas and all these other weird things.
That's all we had. We But then again, I grew up in an era where the thought of bringing a calculator, a business tool, to school, that was inconceivable.
The argument was always, you need to learn how to do this on paper because you're never going to have a calculator with you at all times.
Right, right now I've got a calculator.
I've got a mini computer
times
sitting on the table here.
Yeah. So I think we finally persuaded you, Conan, that do you think that it's always a waste of time to learn a second language?
As far as building your cognitive skills, I think it's great. But I mean, there are video games that do just as well. What I'm saying is, if you never go out and actually use that language, I feel like I wasted my time.
How about for kids?
I really wish that I had been doing something that, even if it was art or PE.
Well, let's quit with a one-size-fits-all. How about
music class or something?
How about if there has to be a school, and the school is in the very south of Texas, right on the border? Do you think that should be offered in high school?
Sure, but I was in school in Florida, and I knew many, many Latins who spoke the language fluently, and I never learned Spanish. I never saw a need to.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point, that contrary to what Department of Education may believe, one size doesn't fit all. Different areas, different states, different communities all have their own specific needs and things that are going to be valuable to their students.
Let's try Greg one more time. Greg, you're on Free Talk Live with Daryl, Chris, and Conan.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yep. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Good. I guess I just want to chime in with this foreign language thing. There was a study that came out this year that said that people that know a foreign language actually reduce the onset of dementia later in life, and I believe Parkinson's as well. So that's useful.
Yeah, but how many other activities reduce dementia? Playing Sudoku reduces dementia. Like I said, there's probably a lot of video games out there do a great job. Reading, any kind of puzzles are good for brain cognition.
I don't think Greg said that learning a second language was the only thing, and that's what you're trying to. You're trying to do this one size fits all thing.
Who did this study? They're trying to defend teaching languages in school. But yeah, I agree.
It was sponsored and paid for by the Rosetta Stone Foundation.
Yeah,
but
Greg,
don't let that.
Greg, go ahead.
Well, that's capitalism, right?
Absolutely.
I just want to say that what you're saying is that a school forced you to do something, a high school forced you. That's an example of, taking away your liberty at a smaller level, that you will still always have your liberty taken away regardless. And if your parents force you to take ballet or anything like that, you might not appreciate it, but there's always a chance either way, and there are always some benefits and some drawbacks to this.
Greg,
but honestly,
hold your thought. We'll bring you back in hour number 2, which is right around the corner, and your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at SurvivorMax.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 22nd, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.98 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,335 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $599. Antiwar.com reports in a disappointing 71-27 vote on Wednesday, the Senate voted to kill a bill that would have blocked the U.S. from carrying out $1.15 billion in tank sales to Saudi Arabia. The bill had bipartisan authorship but was overwhelmingly opposed by leadership. Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, one of the authors, said he never expected to pass the resolution anyhow, but hoped to press Saudi Arabia on its large civilian death toll in Yemen, saying that the Saudis clearly don't want to see debate on the U.S.-Saudi alliance on the floor of Congress. Nor, it seems, did most of the leadership, with Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying the bill would mean the U.S. retreating from its role of guarantor of international order, and other hawks insisting that the Saudi alliance is far too important to allow Yemen war crimes to interfere. The tank sale was a comparatively tiny portion of over $100 billion in arms sales to Saudi Arabia throughout the Obama presidency, but blocking it would have been seen as a significant sign that the Congress is growing uncomfortable with backing the Saudis in Yemen. It is unclear how much Saudi Arabia lobbied on this bill, as it was not expected to pass either way, and substantial effort is currently ongoing to try to uphold an Obama veto on the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act, which would have allowed 9/11 victims to sue Saudi Arabia for its role in the lead-up to the attack. Both the Senate and House passed that bill unanimously, but there is expected to be considerable numbers of switching sides on the veto override vote. In 1999, Daryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, "Sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic." Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Daryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports Mylon CEO Heather Bresch on Wednesday defended her company's EpiPen pricing, which had reached $608.61 for a 2-pack of the epinephrine auto-injector, telling a skeptical House committee that a generic version at half the price should be available soon. The top Democrat on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, Representative Elijah Cummings, accused the company of using a corrupt business model and repeatedly raising EpiPen prices. Cummings said he is concerned that the drug companies are raising prices repeatedly for the medication that lacks competition. He called for more than just an apology from Bresch, but also a solution. The EpiPen device delivers a regulated dose of epinephrine to someone in the case of a severe allergic reaction. The price of the EpiPen 2-pack has increased nearly 550% since Mylon bought it in 2007. Bresch, whose father is West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, said repeatedly that Mylon makes $100 from each EpiPen pack after subtracting the cost of research, staffing, and more. Bresch's salary has also increased with EpiPen prices in the past 8 years. Bresch earned $2.45 million in 2007 compared to more than $18 million last year. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a number of U.S. cities are introducing proposals to mandate community oversight of police use of digital surveillance technology as evidence mounts that poor and minority neighborhoods are being more heavily scrutinized than others, according to civil rights activists on Wednesday. The legislative measures are being introduced by lawmakers in 11 cities from Seattle to Washington, D.C., and are backed by a coalition of 17 groups led by the ACLU and NAACP. Malkia Sorrell, executive director of the Center for Media Justice, told reporters on a conference call during which the proposals were announced on Wednesday, "We need to build the legislative power of local communities to prevent high-tech racial profiling and policing from turning our neighborhoods into open-air prisons." The proposed legislation would mandate city council approval of the use and purchase of surveillance equipment and input and oversight from communities on how it is to be used. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Already struggling to get by on the basic necessities of day-to-day life, lunatics across the nation confirmed today that they are now barely able to afford the quickly rising price of car meat.
I've got 14 Barbara Streisands to feed and 3 more on the way. Day and night they shout, "We're hungry, Admiral. We want grade A Handaloaf. We want Nissan truck."
I just want to know what Bruno Mars plans to do about this. He sits around all day eating Audi ribeye and limousine bouillabaisse while we scrape by with taxi shanks. Meanwhile, the men at arms are still overseas fighting the war on Wheel of Fortune.
For more on this story, check this week's Onion Review.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Daryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And we will go back to the phones and, well, we'll see what happens here with Ralph calling in from New Jersey. Ralph, you're on Free Talk Live.
To talk about the issue of race, okay, because of what, the situation going on in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Charlotte, North Carolina, okay. And I want to going to ask this question right now, because the way I look at it, in Obama's America, this is the worst of time and the best of time. Okay? Off the bat, I want to ask this question to you right now. Why do you think that race relation under Obama is worse? Why do you think that is? I think in my previous call, I have already given you the answer to those. Why do you think it is worse?
Well,
is it driven by Obama's action? Is it driven by his pronouncement? It is one, the other, or the both?
So, Ralph,
the combination of the both.
Could I answer? This is Chris.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I'm with you in a sense that I believe that there are actors at play, actors working to destabilize our society. I really do believe that. I'm going to point to a couple things. And I will say that I believe Barack Obama is a puppet, like most presidents are, that their strings are being pulled by people who are the real power. And I know not everybody in the audience is going to agree with that, but that's how I feel.
The shadow government.
Right. So on the one hand, we have the war on drugs and this idea that we make everyone
a puppet of the one world order, correct?
Yeah, I mean you can call it that. I don't like to refer to it as that because it makes me sound a little wacky. But there are those people out there that do possess tremendous amounts of power, and they feel they have something to gain. I think destabilization is the easiest way to divide people, and once people are divided, then that's the easiest way to control them.
To keep them actively fighting each other.
So yeah,
in their own personal little circus.
Right. So on the one hand, we have police that are incentivized by the war on drugs to look at everybody as they're a potential suspect, and they're being trained constantly that you no longer should try to de-escalate. You have to protect yourself first. Well, being a cop is a dangerous job, so I admire cops that actually try to de-escalate things and don't immediately shoot. So, and I'm not going to pick sides on any of these recent shootings because in a lot of these cases, and again, this is not a popular opinion, but sometimes there's a gun there. Sometimes there is a reason that an officer may take a particular choice. So sometimes there isn't.
So the guy whose car had broken down and he was unarmed and wound up getting shot. I have yet to hear what the people that say that the cops can do no wrong, I've yet to hear any of them give a reason why this man deserved to be shot.
Daryl, they found PCP in his car.
Well, I'm not willing to go there
after the fact.
Yeah, and I'm not going to speak on that because I don't know which one you're talking about, or I haven't read up on it again. So that's the one side, Ralph. That's where I feel one side is. On the other side, I see tremendous amounts of money going towards groups like Black Lives Matter.
George Soros.
Yeah, George Soros. Now, I'm trying to understand why exactly people feel that an organization like Black Lives Matter, and I'm not taking a side whether they're good, bad, and I'm just indifferent. But why a group like that, between the Ford Foundation and George Soros, feels that they need $100 million? Can you imagine the activism one could do with $100 million? $100 million. And that's been put into that. And so I look at this and I go, I see government on one side, kind of through the war on drugs, fueling aggression in a way. And I'm not saying all cops are bad, and I'm not saying any cop makes their decision, but I'm talking about where their incentives of departments may lay in some cases. And on the other side, I have somebody else heavily funding, and I look at these two, and they both have a lot in common. So to me, it really worries me where this country's going, and that we have so many incentives on both sides that only seem to be bashing our heads against each other until somebody just says, this is it. We're going up.
And I do think a lot of this has to do with perpetuating the divide and conquer sort of thing, to where if, and I'm going to, speak from one of the positions of one of the puppet masters here. If we can get them to fight amongst each other over whether or not this guy deserved to be shot by the cops because he may or may not have had a criminal record, then they won't be paying attention to all of the horrible things that we're doing to take away their freedoms and their liberties. And
enrich ourselves in the process.
Right, enrich ourselves in the process. Oh, and while everybody is talking about this guy getting shot by the cops, the Senate goes ahead and passes a $1.15 billion arms sale to Saudi Arabia, even though it's been brought up that the Saudi military has possibly committed war crimes in Yemen using weapons that they received from the U.S. government.
Or the Pentagon admits they just lost $6 trillion. Another six.
As far as being a puppet goes, Obama is the perfect, personality for that kind of thing, because it's not pretend when it comes to Obama being one with the black animal, being one with the terrorist, Islamic, radical, being one with Satan. Okay, it's not pretend on him. It's real. It's for real. That he is those
and
kind of things.
You keep saying, Ralph, you keep saying that Obama is one with the Muslims and one with Satan, but those are opposite sorts of things. So how do you justify in your head that he is, working hand in hand with both Satan and the Muslims?
Unless they are the same.
The fact of the matter is this: Obama is a primitive kind of racist. Okay? He is an anti-white, anti-Semite, anti-Christ.
You keep saying that as well, but again, you have no proof.
But that's proof about him, about the anti-Semitism. Recently, as of a day ago or 2 days ago, I believe it was, yesterday or 2 days ago, he had a meeting with Bibi Netanyahu in New York City, in a hotel there.
Yep.
All I need to see and analyze is, the picture. Okay? Did you see Bibi Netanyahu sitting right on the side, right on the left-hand side of Obama, and the facial expression of Bibi Netanyahu kind of like squirming? Okay? Kind of like squirming. Did you see that? Google it.
I didn't, but I've seen other pictures of those two. There's no love lost between the two of them.
Hold on. So if Obama, Ralph, if Obama were actually an anti-Semite, why would he even meet with the Israeli Prime Minister?
That's a very interesting question.
It is a very interesting question, because you're the one alleging that he's anti-Semitic, but yet he's meeting with these Israeli government agents.
He has to meet with them.
No, he doesn't have to meet with them.
His puppet master controllers told him to, so yes, he does.
Yeah, he has no choice.
And I'm glad that a meeting did not take place between Duterte and Obama, because I consider Duterte more of my leader than Obama could ever be. That being said,
hold on. Who's more of a leader than Obama?
Rodrigo Duterte.
Ah, okay.
Rudy is more of a
Duterte,
leader.
the president of the Philippines.
Showing more
You're a fan of that
showing
guy?
more of a leadership quality. You know, I also bring up in my meeting with Rudy last Monday how the media is playing out, what you are currently doing, dealing with, the drug situation in the Philippines. I like to believe that we need to have a sit down, a representative from your office and our Philippine ambassador need to have a sit down with the editorial board of the New York Times.
Hold on, Ralph. We'll bring you back. Conan's got questions.
No, I just wanted to ask.
Hopefully you've got answers. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Let's get to the bottom of what Ralph really believes.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-929-5733. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-929-5733. 1-800-929-5733.
Will the government protect your family from Iran and North Korea's newest weapon, EMP? We buy guns to protect ourselves, home, health, and car insurance for accidents. Maybe you also have food storage. But how would you keep your refrigerator running in a long-term EMP blackout? Using tested military designs, the Solarc EMP-hardened solar generator protects and powers your critical appliances for years without burying items underground or wrapping them in aluminum foil. Unlike other preps, Solarc is used every day to help offset your electric bill automatically. Visit PortableSolarLLC.com to learn how easily expandable the system is. Solarc is the most affordable and powerful solution on the market. The whole system even fits in the back of a pickup or SUV and can install in less than an hour. See for yourself why Solarc beats other off-grid systems at PortableSolarLLC.com. Don't wait for the government. Go to PortableSolarLLC.com to learn why Solarc is energy insurance for your family.
Uncertainty has become the talking point when it comes to financial markets. One thing is becoming certain: safe haven assets. Hard assets are now becoming the choice of informed investors. The most recognized and valued hard asset is gold. The highest performing asset this year is gold. Trust gold to protect and grow your IRA or 401k. Central banks and billionaires are doing the same thing. Choose a more stable asset that has tremendous upside potential. As these uncertain times threaten the markets, your decision to reduce your exposure to these markets before further negative effects to your portfolio would be well timed. Call 1-800-GOLD-IRA to transfer your existing IRA into an actual physical gold and silver IRA. American Bullion is the pioneer of gold IRAs. They handle all the details for you. Call 1-800-GOLD-IRA to get prepared. Start protecting and growing your IRA and 401k before the next crash. American Bullion. 1-800-GOLD-IRA.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Daryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And Conan, you had a question for Ralph.
It was a real quick question, and we got you held over, and we've got other callers. Real quick, Ralph, should Rodrigo Duterte, Filipino president, should he be our next American president?
That's not quite possible because he's born here, number one, and he's not a United States citizen. No.
All right, now I'm not talking about the legalities. I understand the legalities. He couldn't actually run.
If he were eligible,
would you vote for him?
Here
are your options. Here are your options. You have Duterte and you have Trump. Who would you pick?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, I let you in on a little secret, and this is the close advisor to the president of the Philippines have told me that after the meeting that Trump actually made overtures to have a meeting with Duterte.
You saying he refused?
Trump was requesting. I mean, Rudy, not Trump. Rudy requested a meeting with Trump, and I would like to see a meeting between Netanyahu and Trump. And back to the race relation issue. I believe that for the most part, the pronouncement, the action of Obama is what's driving the worsening race relation in this country.
You blame everything on Obama, Ralph. If you go to Wendy's and they mess up your order, you're going to blame Obama because that's what you do. You're a one-trick pony, and that trick is everything's Obama's fault. That's your trick.
Well, it is, really.
You need to learn a new trick.
He's the president. You can blame it all on him.
No, Ralph's not the president.
No, I mean...
unless it's the president of the Blame Obama for Everything Club, then yes, Ralph is the president of that.
Man.
Let's go to Ricky calling in from the Commonwealth. Ricky, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, that was fast, Daryl. Good evening.
Good evening. You're on the radio. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, I just caught the show, actually. Is that Conan I hear there with you?
That's Conan and Chris and Daryl.
Hey, Chris, how you doing, Conan?
Yep.
How we doing?
All right. I don't know. How are you doing? I just got in on the show.
Well, we're doing a radio show and would appreciate if you would either get into the topic or
definitely
do something.
will. I definitely will. Now, I will say recently I left a feedback and I put forth a challenge. Now, I have to admit, I've been really extremely busy, all hell breaking loose for me, and I caught the show, I got in, and I heard a voice. It was Ralph. Now, here's how this is. Now, first off, one of the things I left in my feedback was the duel. I was thinking about Weehawken in New Jersey in 1804, and I was thinking about honor. And I'll tell you what got me to this idea.
Hold on. Who are you wanting to duel?
Ralph, and I'll tell you why.
So you're challenging Ralph to a duel on national radio. Okay.
And I'll explain. And because I know that you had Ralph and Sarah paired up at a point. You know, because I'll tell you why.
You don't mean a real duel. You just mean talk to each other.
Actually, a little more than that. Because I'm a betting man.
Okay.
And see, this is about honor. This is about honor. I'll tell you how this works. Now, I was thinking about when I was on the other night with you and Ian, and I was talking about oaths. And hopefully I can still have some time to get into that after this. But here's how my duel is with Ralph, because he calls in here every single night. In fact, I'm trying to go in the whole night. I'm 2.5 hours. Ralph gets on. And he talks his stuff.
No, Ralph was not on for 2.5 hours. It seemed like 2.5 hours.
Well, I was on hold for 2.5 hours. And he was on earlier on. So my point is, here's how this works. It's a very simple bet. And I say Ralph ain't got the guts. Now, I'm going to say this to Ralph. If he's still listening, I don't think he listens at all. But if he is listening, you see, here's how this challenge works. It's about honor. Now, I say Ralph has done. Ralph has no honor. Ralph's a racist.
So what is the challenge?
Very simply put, we get together just like you did Sarah and him that night, and here's the thing. You know wrestling, and Terry Funk, he had it. Loser leave town. And he never went back to his hometown after he lost that. Now,
Terry Funk, hold on, Ricky. Terry Funk has had more retirement matches than some professional wrestlers have had matches.
But he never went back to his hometown.
Hold on.
We don't know where his hometown is, and he's wrestled in a bunch of those places where it was loser leaves town.
This is sounding incredibly interesting to me. So basically you're saying that you would talk to Ralph. Somehow this would be judged, somehow, and whoever loses never calls the show again?
Okay, I got the answer to that. Yeah, you got it, loser. Leave Free Talk Live, and I'll tell you how we can judge the winner. Real simple, because once Ralph talks to me, because, Ralph talks his crap and his Obama and his and his racism. I don't want to even hear what he got to...
So how do we judge this thing? Really brief.
Very
How
simple.
do we judge this?
Real brief. You guys don't even need to judge it, because after I talk to him and I'm straight and I'm fair, the man who will have his honor in the duel he's the one that walks away. Remember Hamilton? He didn't have any honor. He lost. You know who went to Weehawken the year before? Hamilton's kid. He lost that duel. He was fighting for his old man's honor. Hamilton ain't got no honor. He lost.
I thought this was about you and Ralph, not Alexander Hamilton. Ricky, thank you for the call.
I love this idea.
I think it's an absolutely horrible idea.
No. What we do is we pair up. We get Ricky and Ralph, and one of them is no longer allowed to call the show, and one of them can. And then we pair off the winner.
Like forever?
Forever. And then we let somebody else challenge them, and the loser of that can no longer call forever.
Wait, but who judges? What if? And by the way,
he says nobody judges. That it is up to the man with honor to wind up leaving town. It's an absolutely horrible idea that will never.
I think we need to figure out how
to
judge this thing.
I think the listeners should judge it.
I do too. If we can figure out some way there, and
can you make like a poll on the a question poll on the page, the Facebook page?
Yeah, there, I believe, could be a poll either on the Facebook page or on the actual website. But again, online polls are absolutely meaningless because it just means that one person knows how to stuff the poll.
Well, then so be it.
And that person would probably be some kind of puppet master of sorts.
A techie.
Speaking of, let's go to Robbie calling in about puppet masters. Robbie, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thought.
Chris, I feel deeply sorry for you. But speaking of honor code, you being an expatriate, one would hope you haven't forgotten your pledge to not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those that do.
Oh, I want to hear more about this.
Thank you very much, Robbie, for the call. By the way, that was not your actual name.
Oh, no honor. You lying.
You did lie. Yeah.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free. Your calls or thoughts welcome. And let's bust some survival myths. This is Free Talk Live.
Are the answers to your present and future hidden in your past? Akashic readings help you learn to unlock the answers for love, finances, weight loss, self-esteem, confusion, grief and loss, and more. Akashic email readings by Dr. Kelly Maroon, PhD, are specially priced right now. Learn more at Dr. Kelly Maroon's website, akashicuniversal.com, spelled AKASHIC universal.com. Change your life today. Become one with your true path with intention on purpose. Visit akashicuniversal.com.
There is an affordable alternative to the high cost of healthcare that offers freedom from insurance while providing compliance with the Obamacare individual mandate. Imagine having access to quality, affordable healthcare that allows you the freedom to choose your doctor and hospital. Members can share up to 100% of necessary medical expenses, including some alternative treatments. Find out how you and your family can contain healthcare costs without giving up your freedom. Go to libertyoncall.org. That's libertyoncall.org.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
On the second Saturday of every month, the Texas Republic Congress meets in a joint session. To learn how you can attend or become a member of Congress, visit thetexasrepublic.com. And together, we can liberate Texas.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Daryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And if you're listening to the show and maybe you're not listening live and you want to leave us some feedback, you can do that using the audio on demand listen line with feedback. 641-793-9660. You don't need a smartphone. You don't even need a cell phone. You can call this from any telephone anywhere in the United States. 641-793-9660. It's not a toll-free number, so if you still have to pay for long distance, be aware of that. But it allows you to listen to any of the live programs from the Liberty Radio Network when you want to. That includes Free Talk Live, Declare Your Independence, the Freedom Fiends, the Angel Clark Show, and several others. So just call 641-793-9660. Press 2 to listen to Free Talk Live. And if you want to leave feedback, press 0, and that allows you to leave a message. Now, we ask that if you call into the show, you not leave feedback on the listen line. But let's say that you for whatever reason, don't want to call in while we're live, or you're not listening while we are live, but you have some thoughts. You can leave your thoughts, and if it's a good enough call, we might play it on the air. Again, that is the listen line. I'll give that number one more time, 641-793-9660. But if you are listening live, you can call in 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Conan, it's the first day of fall, or the second day. I forget when the actual first day was.
It's the day, Thursday.
But that means, weather's starting to get colder, and pretty soon, winter is coming, as they say. And, well, there's some survival myths. And not all of these are necessarily about cold weather. Some of these are just, you're out camping for whatever reason. But somehow you stumbled across these survival myths that can actually wind up getting you killed.
Yeah, well, I grew up in the woods, and I was a Boy Scout and did a lot of camping in my younger years. I know Chris is an outdoorsy kind of guy. He comes in, he's got his ruck in here, like he's planning on getting lost from his home to the workplace.
I always do. That's my get back to the car bag, where my get out of town bag is.
I'm not sure about Daryl. I know you grew up in Alabama, but you said you're right there in the city outskirts. And
I was just outside of Birmingham, but there were a lot of woods around where I lived, so I would spend not days at a time, because obviously I'd go back and eat supper and sleep inside and have breakfast. But
very civilized.
The day parts, I would be riding my bike through the woods.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that I'm not so much concerned with the cold weather coming on. That doesn't have me worried. But it's getting hard. The end of the world might just be around the corner, Chris. I mean, and we learned all these things watching movies and reading books, these myths, these ideas that could just get us killed if we go out and actually try to practice them.
Now, there's 26 of them on this list.
Yeah, I'm not going to read them all.
And right, that's what I was going to say. We're not going to cover all 26 of these, but they will be on the Facebook page and the Twitter at facebook.com/freetalklive.
And I think these things are interesting to talk about because it's such a popular genre, the sort of dystopian future, the society has fallen apart, or there's been a massive disaster or disease or something has struck. You've got The Walking Dead, you've got all sorts of things.
You've got all these survival shows on the Discovery. Bear Grylls, where he slays a dragon and makes a teepee out of the hide and all this other stuff.
Right over the hill near a main highway, because it's just because you can't find these desolate areas anymore because of urban.
It's tough.
We're everywhere.
All right,
cockroaches.
I'm excited to talk about this. This is a fun subject.
Number 7, eating raw meat and seafood is safe. Now,
No, whoever said that?
Well, your guy Bear Grill. He's sitting there chomping down on raw fish, and he's eating spiders.
No, he's not.
Stuff.
He spiders, yes, but the fish and the meat he holds over a fire that he made out of a toothpick.
All right, maybe it wasn't Bear, but it was one of these other clowns. He's
what
sitting
are they
there
saying?
munching
It's
down.
absolutely deadly. It's not absolutely deadly.
It isn't absolutely deadly, and if you were starving and you didn't have the ability to make a fire, go ahead and munch down. I mean,
absolutely getting some protein.
So we've seen on Survival Show with charismatic hosts scarfing down some poor live animals. This may be safe once in a while, but it's hardly a technique to emulate. Raw animal flesh can contain pathogens that may attack the human body, resulting in an extended onset condition that's difficult to diagnose. What about sushi, you say? Plenty of folks eat raw fish and don't seem to get sick. Some raw seafood that comes from salt water is safe for human consumption, but it's only because their pathogens aren't very compatible with the human body.
And what most people think of as sushi is not raw fish. They will actually, cook it very slightly to, wind up killing bacteria.
Well, plus, most of the tuna comes from like the Pacific, so that's all been irradiated, which I think kills everything too, right?
And they're always using the fake crab too, and that stuff is cooked and preserved.
Right.
So that's good. That's good to go.
But I think the key point here is that, I don't know, you talk about being outdoors and just going outdoors to be outdoors, and there's some guy on TV's eating like raw bear or raw bird or raw fish out of a stream, a freshwater fish. That's probably not a really good idea if you have the ability and it's not a life or death situation to cook it. I get that one.
Yeah, so if you have the opportunity to cook, do so just in case. But if you're starving, number 8, you can eat anything animals eat. Again, here's another one that just kind of seems obvious to me, but I've seen
dogs eat poo.
In my you can see what my chickens eat. I mean, these little dinosaurs.
Dogs will eat their own vomit. I guess in theory, if again, a life or death situation, if it's all you've got around, eat your vomit.
Okay, but what about
But you probably expelled it for a reason, so I would not suggest it.
Okay, what about like berries? So you see a bird munching down on some berries. Oh, they must be good to go. Or what about, goats can eat poison ivy.
Right.
I wouldn't suggest you go. Actually, probably if you boiled them, you might be able to.
No, I'm not even going to take a chance on that one.
Despite our shared biology, there's still a massive difference between humans and other animals. Some animals might eat plants that happen to be edible to humans, but these same animals can also eat plants that are dangerous to us. Birds are the worst animals to emulate, as they gobble up a variety of berries, many of which could either nourish or kill us. Even mammals such as squirrels, which normally eat nuts that are safe for human consumption, will occasionally munch on mushrooms and nuts that are toxic to humans. I wonder if that might explain.
Just eat the squirrel.
That might explain that
first.
Squirrel I saw the other day that was just laying out in the street.
That wasn't a squirrel. You had eaten some of those mushrooms that you saw the squirrel eating.
I'm thinking the
and
squirrel
you thought it was a squirrel.
I'm thinking the squirrel was taking advantage.
Or
of
it was one of the squirrels that got confused and was running back and forth and wound up getting run over by a car, and you just thought he was still alive because you ate the mushrooms.
Here's one we actually debated in
squirrel pancakes
in the old Boy Scouts. Cut and suck a snake bite. Now I remember learning one way, and then there was this huge debate. Was like, no, you can't do it. Just take him to the doctor because here's why. The cut and suck technique of dealing with a venomous snake bite went the way of the dodo. Yet it still seems to hang around in Hollywood. In reality, this trick would work.
This trick will not work.
This trick won't work and opens the victim up to a larger risk of infection by creating a bigger wound with bacteria-laden human spit inside. Put on a pressure dressing and get to a doctor. Also, you've got the venom. Also, you've got venom in your mouth, and guess what's right there? Your brain. So
tourniquet. Use a tourniquet.
And Google the Sawyer extractor.
855-450 free. That's the toll-free call-in line. This is Free Talk Live.
Know that sound? That's the sound of trouble for CPAP users. Did you know that just one drop of water in your CPAP system can become a breeding ground for mold and bacteria? Breathe that stuff in and you're battling respiratory infections, allergy attacks, and more. But here's good news. SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It's the healthier way to clean your system because it kills 99.9% of germs in minutes. For a limited time, you can try it risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-951-9693. SoClean makes cleaning your CPAP a breeze. It's completely hands-free. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto, your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Don't let one drop of water wreak havoc on your body. Call SoClean.com now for your risk-free trial while supplies last. 1-800-951-9693. That's 1-800-951-9693.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Investment Rarities, a 43-year-old company, has created the best silver offer ever. Get a U.S. Silver Eagle, Canadian Maple Leaf, Austrian Philharmonic, OPM Pure Bar, and Silver Round. Have all 5 for $99 postpaid. You heard me right, 5 ounces of silver below cost. No credit card fees, free shipping. Just $99 and you'll have a great start on what it takes to survive even the worst economic storm. Act now and receive Jim Cook's exclusive paper explaining how it's possible to make a fortune in silver today. Don't miss this opportunity. Call 800-328-1860. Read how the above-ground supply of silver has dropped below even gold. The secret is being suppressed. The price could explode at any time. Call today at 800-328-1860. Get 5 ounces of silver for only $99. Find them on the web at investmentrarities.com or call 800-328-1860. Call now before it's too late. 800-328-1860.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $3 lower at $1,340 per ounce. Silver is 18 cents higher at $20.07 per ounce. Bitcoin is $595 US. Both metals made big jumps because of continued inflationary policy announcements from the Fed and Bank of Japan. For more information, call Robertson Roberts Brokerage today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight is Daryl,
Chris, and Conan.
And Conan, you brought in this story about 26 survival myths that could get you killed. And
some of them are pretty obvious.
We're not going through all of them, but you did start at number 7. So the first one on here is about the cold, where it says, rub frostbitten skin. No. Never. Don't do it, because frostbite occurs when ice crystals form in your skin and other tissues. Rubbing could have the ice crystals cut your skin, thus causing the frostbite to hurt you even worse.
Now, if you are pre-frostbite, rubbing your feet, your hands together, your hands over your feet, I'm thinking that's okay, right?
If you're not yet frostbitten, yes.
But yeah, they're starting to turn black, and you can do more damage.
Too far gone. If it's black, it's too far gone as far as, the frostbite kicking in.
Right.
Number 2 on here, they say drink liquor to warm you up. No, Mythbusters did that.
But we
busted.
learned that on Looney Tunes with the dog, the big Saint Bernard.
Yeah, you wait for him to show up.
He's got a cask around his neck. He's got a cask collar.
No, man. That's just to make you forget that you're dying of frostbite and hypothermia.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And things like keeping yourself hydrated and keeping yourself dry and keeping yourself covered with multiple layers, that's more important for keeping warm than anything else. The big thing is dry. And, do people, when they pack a bag or they remember to throw an extra pair of socks in there.
That's a big one right there.
Anybody who's been in the military will know that a change of socks is like a new life. If you've had to walk for
that was
a long,
like a regular.
ways.
You'd have your commander like having sock change moment.
Yep.
Where they all get called. You all get called on the comms, and it's like, all right, guys, it's been 6 hours. It's been 8 hours. Time to change the socks.
And speaking of socks, they say that cotton can kill you or at least lead to hypothermia, which could kill you. So don't use cotton as your base layer.
It's because cotton sucks up moisture and it stays there, and you don't want it right on your skin because that's what really chills you.
Well, one of these myths is let a hypothermic victim get some sleep. No, it's like
let them get some sleep, and if you see a white light, walk towards that too. That's
let
exactly
somebody
what you
with
need to
a
do.
concussion get some sleep. No, no. You keep them awake.
So we're talking.
Keep them awake. So some of these, I don't know who is coming up with these myths, but some of these are just, at least to me anyway, and I'm not one of these outdoorsy survival people, but these just, make absolutely, no sense. They go against common sense.
Yeah, and a lot of them are things that I've heard, but they're usually told as a reason why you wouldn't want to do this. It's like nobody says all base layers are equivalent. Everybody knows that. Most people, anybody who knows anything about being outdoors in cold weather, cotton's not what you want next to your skin.
Right. If anything, you want wool.
And if you've ever had any outdoor experience, the whole rubbing two sticks together is not a fast way to light a fire.
Right.
Sure,
9-volt battery and still wool works very good.
I like to focus on what's practical and what I might actually have on me. So here's two things that I usually have on me.
If I were going camping, I would carry a 9-volt battery and still wool.
Okay,
you probably would.
You fell out of a airplane, deserted island. You have none of those things. You have your belt,
there's probably some stuff that is in the wreckage that could wind up being used.
You got kicked out because you were loud and obnoxious, and they just booted you out.
Oh, you obviously have never flown with me. I fall asleep as soon as we push away from
it. You're not supposed to go to sleep with a head wound.
And Daryl only flies on pedantic airlines. So two things that I always have with me. I always have hand sanitizer in my bag, right? That's just, I keep a little jug of that, and I usually have some cologne in my bag.
Using too much hand sanitizer is actually bad for you because it weakens the immune system.
I get it, but the point is both of those things are alcohol-based, and if you needed to...
And you could get drunk if you really had to. Thus,
don't
getting
think about
warmer in the snow, apparently.
But when you talk about lighting a fire and trying to get some dry wood if it's raining out, or trying to come up with enough tinder and things like that, sometimes having a little bit of alcohol to light makes things a whole lot easier. So those are things that I just encourage people to try it. Go out in your backyard without matches and a lighter. Use some gear that you have and light a fire.
I would say try to start a fire with matches. How many people can actually do that?
That's true.
Well, if you're on an airplane, they're not letting you bring matches with you. So your scenario of getting kicked off of the airplane.
Do they take matches from you?
They allow you to take books of matches, and they allow you to take one lighter.
So, all right. So here is the first test: start a fire, backyard, without paper.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Anything you can find. So you got to find some. You got to find tinder that will actually light.
Oil can.
And build it up from there.
Yeah.
If you can do that, now let's go to using flint and steel,
or something other than matches, because there's a lot of different ways.
Magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass is a good one too.
Bag of water. I've seen where people have taken a little Ziploc bag, put water in it. You get it all nice and tight, and use that as a magnifier.
I have a magnifying glass on me for that particular purpose.
You also have a little flint stick on you because you're one of these survival people. Now, there's a whole generation of people that both of you used a term. There's a whole generation of people that when they hear this word, their first thought is dating app. You both mentioned Tinder. And you don't mean use the dating app to start a fire, although you could use it to start a different kind of fire.
Never even considered it.
So what you're saying is, like small burnable things. So, like little tiny
Tinder,
dried sticks
Tinder.
dried leaves, stuff along those lines.
Yeah, so if you imagine logs, that's the biggest stuff, or sticks, and then you kind of go down to kindling, the stuff that's the size around of your thumb or your finger or things like that. That's kindling. And then tinder has to be what initially catches flame, and that has to be real super light and real. So that's wood shavings.
Maybe that's how they came up with the name for the dating app, because it's things that super light, catches a little flame, you have a little spark, and then
a little
you move
spark,
on.
and then it gets hot,
and then
in
it
here.
burns the ring of fire. So let's get back into some of these survival myths.
I'm going to skip all the way to number 24. Drink raw blood to survive.
No, again, who in their right mind?
Why? Because it's salty, right? But that's not the reason. That's not the reason.
There's also that. Plus, there's the thing of whatever it is you just killed might have a disease, and you need to, again, we just said don't eat raw meat.
Right.
You don't want to drink raw blood. Boil that stuff first.
This falls in that category. But then again, the original stands up. Whether you have the opportunity to actually build a fire,
right?
Or if you're starving right now, and you don't have your flint and steel or a magnifying glass or matches, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and I don't know. I think this is a subject that everybody should study a little bit, at least to get the basics. Can you light a fire? Can you gather some food or cook some food? Or do you have some basic skills? Or do you even carry a manual with you or in your car that tells you what plants are poisonous and what's okay to eat in your area?
Now, when I saw that, I thought it would induce vomiting, which is not a good thing, because then you're just coughing up all your nutrients.
Yeah.
You can only drink so much blood, and then body just not gonna. It can't handle it.
Well, your mind may come into play there too.
The last two things that they have on here: suck on a stone for hydration. I've never heard that one, but it doesn't sound like it's that good of an idea.
I think the idea was it creates saliva,
stimulates saliva.
And final on the list, and this is one of those for the winter months.
This is a good one.
Eat snow for water.
Yeah, this is another one of those where people just say this is the last thing you ever do. So that's why you need a fire. You need to melt the snow.
Yeah, well, according to this, let's see, the water to air ratio in snow is 9-1. So you would have to basically eat 9 quarts of snow to get 1 quart of...
No, they say 10 quarts of snow to yield 1 quart of water, because 9-1. 9 plus 1 is 10.
There you go. I'm glad I'm glad someone took math in school.
Yeah, I was on the math team and in the Math Honor Society. Thank you very much. This is Free Talk Live, hour number 3. Coming up just around the corner. Your calls and thoughts are welcome. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 22nd, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.98 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,335 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $599. Antiwar.com reports in a disappointing 71-27 vote on Wednesday, the Senate voted to kill a bill that would have blocked the U.S. from carrying out $1.15 billion in tank sales to Saudi Arabia. The bill had bipartisan authorship but was overwhelmingly opposed by leadership. Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, one of the authors, said he never expected to pass the resolution anyhow, but hoped to press Saudi Arabia on its large civilian death toll in Yemen, saying that the Saudis clearly don't want to see debate on the U.S.-Saudi alliance on the floor of Congress. Nor, it seems, did most of the leadership, with Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying the bill would mean the U.S. retreating from its role of guarantor of international order, and other hawks insisting that the Saudi alliance is far too important to allow Yemen war crimes to interfere. The tank sale was a comparatively tiny portion of over $100 billion in arms sales to Saudi Arabia throughout the Obama presidency, but blocking it would have been seen as a significant sign that the Congress is growing uncomfortable with backing the Saudis in Yemen. It is unclear how much Saudi Arabia lobbied on this bill, as it was not expected to pass either way, and substantial effort is currently ongoing to try to uphold an Obama veto on the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act, which would have allowed 9/11 victims to sue Saudi Arabia for its role in the lead-up to the attack. Both the Senate and House passed that bill unanimously, but there is expected to be considerable numbers of switching sides on the veto override vote. In 1999, Daryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, "Sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic." Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Daryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports Mylon CEO Heather Bresch on Wednesday defended her company's EpiPen pricing, which had reached $608.61 for a 2-pack of the epinephrine auto-injector, telling a skeptical House committee that a generic version at half the price should be available soon. The top Democrat on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, Representative Elijah Cummings, accused the company of using a corrupt business model and repeatedly raising EpiPen prices. Cummings said he is concerned that the drug companies are raising prices repeatedly for the medication that lacks competition. He called for more than just an apology from Bresch, but also a solution. The EpiPen device delivers a regulated dose of epinephrine to someone in the case of a severe allergic reaction. The price of the EpiPen 2-pack has increased nearly 550% since Mylon bought it in 2007. Bresch, whose father is West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, said repeatedly that Mylon makes $100 from each EpiPen pack after subtracting the cost of research, staffing, and more. Bresch's salary has also increased with EpiPen prices in the past 8 years. Bresch earned $2.45 million in 2007 compared to more than $18 million last year. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a number of U.S. cities are introducing proposals to mandate community oversight of police use of digital surveillance technology as evidence mounts that poor and minority neighborhoods are being more heavily scrutinized than others, according to civil rights activists on Wednesday. The legislative measures are being introduced by lawmakers in 11 cities from Seattle to Washington, D.C., and are backed by a coalition of 17 groups led by the ACLU and NAACP. Malkia Sorrell, executive director of the Center for Media Justice, told reporters on a conference call during which the proposals were announced on Wednesday, "We need to build the legislative power of local communities to prevent high-tech racial profiling and policing from turning our neighborhoods into open-air prisons." The proposed legislation would mandate city council approval of the use and purchase of surveillance equipment and input and oversight from communities on how it is to be used. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Officials at PepsiCo announced today the upcoming launch of Mountain Dew Cineblast after the company's market research team unknowingly fell victim to a malicious focus group that convinced them cinnamon-flavored Mountain Dew was the next big thing.
We were the people in the focus group. They couldn't get enough of it. And then they said, the more cinnamon, the better. So we are going to put in more cinnamon. We are really excited for people to try this product.
According to PepsiCo's data, all gathered from a single group of ill-intentioned respondents, customers of all ages will love the new soft drink's murky brownish-green color and will soon be lining up to try the carbonated beverage jam-packed with ground cinnamon. Various members of the focus group told reporters they believed the company had made a great decision.
Cineblast is the best. I mean, I can't wait to tell all of my friends to go buy this thing.
Yeah. The only way they can make it better is if they took a couple of raw eggs, mixed them up in the bottle. People would go nuts.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Kicking off our number 3. This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Daryl.
And Conan.
And we will go back to the phones. We've got Dave calling in from New Hampshire. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
A Free Stater is running for Speaker of the House in New Hampshire.
So for someone that is not familiar with the term Free Stater, what is that?
It's a member of the Free State Project, or a participant, a person who pledged they would move to New Hampshire for more freedom and to be an activist for more freedom. And I don't know when she signed the pledge, but I think she's been here longer than me. I think she's been here since 04 or 03. Carol McGuire is her name.
And she is running for the speaker position. But first, doesn't she have to get reelected? Because New Hampshire has elections every 2 years, where some states it's every 4.
Yes. She's a state rep from Epsom, and I think she's been a state rep for somewhere between 5 and 8 years. And she's probably a very serious contender for this. I don't know how it will play out. They don't do opinion polls on this sort of thing. But the current Speaker of the House, by the way, Speaker of the House in New Hampshire is a position that I would say is roughly as powerful as the governor, maybe a little bit more.
I don't know, because here in New Hampshire, and this is one thing that separates New Hampshire from most of the rest of the country, is that every piece of legislation must have a committee hearing. The committee must issue a recommendation, and the full House or full Senate must then vote on that recommendation. So in some ways, the Speaker is less powerful, because in a lot of states, the Speaker gets to decide if a bill ever has a hearing or ever gets to be voted on.
That's true.
Yeah, of course, the governor has very attrited powers in New Hampshire. The governor's it's one of the weakest governor positions probably in the country, so that's also a factor. But I don't know. That's just my impression from being in the state house quite a bit. But it seems like we keep getting we keep getting a shot at the big time. Right? Like we had the chance to reelect Benson when he was a very pro-liberty governor.
Benson being the person that was the governor back in 2003 when the Free State Project chose New Hampshire as the destination state, and he said, "I welcome the Free Staters."
Yeah, and we failed by a couple thousand votes, and then we barely failed to get a pro-liberty governor candidate this time around. Frank Edelblut almost got it, and we barely failed to get William O'Brien back in as House Speaker. He was pretty pro-freedom. We keep having these hair razor thin failures, and it would be nice to have a razor thin victory for a change in the form of McGuire, because the current House Speaker is he's considered sort of a rhino. He's pretty much a big government Republican.
But the term rhino annoys me, and I cannot say this enough about how much it annoys me, because the big government Republicans say that the small government Republicans are the Republicans in name only. That's what rhino stands for. And the small government Republicans say the big government Republicans are the rhinos. So when everybody's saying that everybody else is a rhino, either everybody is or nobody is.
Well, everybody has their opinion of what a particular, like to be a Republican, what that means. And that is a personal thing. That's what kind of drove me out of the Republican Party, just because I've never found a group of people that I can agree with 100% of the time and wanted to throw my weight behind the leadership and everything that they were going to say. You know what I mean? It just doesn't happen. And I guess I'm just much happier as a undeclared voter.
I think a lot of people are starting to grow. That camp is growing.
Yeah.
Right, and the largest segment of voters are undeclared. Mm-hmm. It's not yet a majority, as some people would like to say, but there are more people in New Hampshire and in most other states where there is voter registration by party. There are more undeclared voters than there are people registered as either Republican or Democrat.
Yep.
It's a fair criticism of the term rhino. Maybe it's not the best term for me to use. It is the one that seems to be most frequently used against him. But calling him the big government Republican, I think, would be something we can all agree on.
Yep, definitely.
I think that could apply to a bunch of the Republicans. And I would say that, yes, in New Hampshire, the elected Republicans seem to be better than the elected Republicans in most other places. And some of the elected Democrats seem to be better than the Democrats that are elected in other places. But we still have a long ways to go to actually wind up, getting more freedoms. Yeah, certainly we talked about New Hampshire ranking number 1 in the Freedom in the 50 States rankings that came out last month. Was that last month?
I think so. Last month or last couple of months, yeah.
That, ranked the 50 states based on freedoms, and New Hampshire, by far and away, the freest place in all of New England, and, ranked slightly ahead of Alaska as the freest in the country. New York came in dead last, and, just looking at the list, California 49, New York 50. Yeah, that makes sense, but then when you look at the actual numbers, New York was twice as bad as California.
Right. And this is kind of interesting. And New Hampshire, I've been up here for a few years, but sometimes it never ceases to amaze me what the political landscape is, because it's never that simple. It's never just Democrat versus Republican. So right now, I've been working with a couple of conservatives and some people that are in the Free State Project about the issue of Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives reiterating their position that if you possess a medical marijuana card, then that is grounds, as far as they're concerned, for you not to be allowed to buy a gun.
Technically, there is no such thing in New Hampshire. It's a therapeutic cannabis patient card.
Call it what you want, but I'm talking about how the how Bat Fee is referring to it. But
if they're referring to it by the wrong name, then technically they can't prohibit anyone from owning a firearm because they're using the wrong name.
They're saying if you are a user of medical marijuana, even if it's allowed by your state laws, then you are not eligible to purchase a firearm.
Right, because federal law says that if you use anything that is federally prohibited, then you are a quote-unquote drug user, even though you can smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol all day long and still purchase a firearm. But if you use this thing that's allowed for medical purposes, nope.
So here's what we got. We got this long email chain between a bunch of conservatives, a bunch of Free State Project folks, a gentleman who I know in the 10th Amendment Center. We're working on drafting some legislation. We're like, well, where do we take this now? I took the idea to my state rep, who is as liberal as the day is long, but he was interested in pursuing a legislative service request to try to get this in motion, because he thinks that that's not right for the federal government to say, because you're doing something legally in your state, you should be denied your Second Amendment rights. And it's to me, it's a national issue as well as a New Hampshire issue.
I'd like to invite you to post about that on the NH Exit forum, because there's some NH Exit folks that have been talking about that too. They think that's the key winning issue that gets right and left together against the central government.
And I think those are the folks that I'm talking about that we've been working on that.
Dave, thank you for the call. Let's go to Sarah with the traffic report from Albuquerque. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Oh, you know what? I love Thursday. Daryl, you two guys are the nice guy. The mean one's not on. I love calling on Thursday.
Oh, you flatter me so much. I will hold you over and let you get into the traffic report as you often do. This is Free Talk Live. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
Retrievers, Labradors, Goldens are the main breeds that come through our door, but we'll train anything with 4 legs and a tail. My husband and I own a kennel. We train hunting dogs and also have a boarding and grooming business. Our dogs, they're athletes, and we feed a very quality food. You can't get enzymes in a commercial dog food because they cook it at such a high heat that so much important nutrition is just cooked right out of it. But adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
DINOVITE.com. 859-428-1000. Dynovite helps them obtain that better nutrition that is hard to find in commercial foods.
The omega-3 fatty acids, zinc. There's flaxseed oil, the seaweed, the kelp. They don't shed as much, and they're all over very healthy dogs.
We tell everybody we know about Dynovite.
DINOVITE.
Dynovite's the bomb.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
For over 5 years, you've been hearing about the Berkey Guy, so you may know a few things about him. For example, you are well aware of the superior quality and effectiveness of Berkey water filters and accessories. But did you know the Berkeys have had independent lab tests done to prove just how effective they are? It's true, and he can email you the test results. Just visit GoBerkey.com. You may also know that the Berkey Guy has helped tens of thousands of people get better prepared. Now here's something you may not know. GoBerkey.com has amazing specials and deals all the time on a wide variety of survival and preparedness products. Most ready to ship same day. Visit the Berkey Guy at GoBerkey.com and be sure to click the red Products on Sale Now button. You can always call toll-free 877-886-3653. Again, that's 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com, home of the Berkey Guy.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back to your calls here in just a moment. But are you going to be doing some shopping sometime soon? I know it's early to think about, but that holiday that they keep starting the shopping season for earlier and earlier, it's only 4 months away. You know the one I'm talking about, Christmas. It's right around the corner. It seems like, once the fall leaves start coming, they're like, everything's ready for Christmas now. Forget Halloween. I know it's not October yet, but, maybe you want to do some Halloween shopping, Thanksgiving shopping of any kind. Well, when you do that, start off by going to shop.freetalklive.com. There's links to Amazon. There's Amazon US, Canada, and UK. There's also a link to Walmart and Newegg, and several other places that you can go. Maybe you need a VPN, or you want to get your hands on some gold and silver, or you want to use that Bitcoin. There's links of all sorts. So begin your shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. Takes an extra second and a half to type that in, or just bookmark it and then click on that before you start your shopping. Shop.freetalklive.com.
Yes, they are definitely setting up Christmas. They started this week, Daryl.
We haven't even got past Halloween yet.
I know.
We've not even got into October yet. Like, football season just started. I don't need, the reminder of the bowl season, because football season just started.
Yeah, well.
Let's go back to the phones where we've got Sarah calling in from Albuquerque. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thought.
Yes. Yes, it was announced on NPR News that there will be like about 8-9 cities that will be voting for more money for public transportation. Mass
and
transit.
You're all in favor of that, right? You want all the money to go to public transit.
Well, usually, I've been here in Albuquerque for 13 years, and every other election, it was on my ballot. I have voted for the public transportation question at least 5-6 times in the last 10 years. So I have voted here over and over again, and so I am all for, I'd rather have money spent on the buses and the ART and bullet trains and trains, because it's better than spending it on war and bombing people.
Well, I can't disagree with that logic, but how much stolen money? How much stolen money should be given to the public transit?
Well, whatever people need, because what my point is that I know this is an international show, and we have this international coalition of wanting to have clean air. The Europeans all in very favor of green energy, and mass transit and public transportation is like a big giant carpool. And the more we ditch our car with one person on the freeway burning gas, stuck in traffic, the less air pollution. You know what I mean?
So Sarah,
this is a global effect.
I understand where you're coming from, and I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but I would like to say I'm very happy that you looked at this economically, saying that I have a limited amount of scarce resources, money to spend, and I could spend them either on, in the way you looked at it, buses, mass transportation, or war. And I'm happy.
That's right.
And I hope that Free Talk Live maybe guided you towards thinking that way, because we talk a lot about war. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that, what is that meat guy, Aang? What was his name? The one that always gets after me for not working? Well, the thing is, 45% of our budget, like almost half of it, or 40 or 45% is spent on war. We spent like $3 trillion on war.
We do spend a lot on war.
Well, the figure that you're mentioning there about the almost half, that's the discretionary spending, and that's only about half of the budget is discretionary, so half of half, so it would be about 25%.
Still a lot.
But still, it's a lot of money that gets spent to kill people around the globe.
Does that include the money that they lose?
The accidental $6.5 trillion.
$6.2
I think it's under my. It's under my.
Well, the $6.5 trillion, that was money where they had been given the money. They just couldn't, account for. I don't remember how we spent this.
Hold on, carry the one. I always miss some simple math issue like that. Sarah, I'm happy to hear you at least come that far. Now we'll work on, is it right to force people to pay for things whether they want them or not? And that's the question of taxation. And is it right for the government to take money and then decide where it's best spent? Or if it has to be government, is it better off if it's very, very local government versus federal government? And whether in some cases good things for people couldn't just be built by people volunteering to put up the money themselves and saying, you know what, I think I can make money off of a bullet train in Albuquerque.
Or maybe it's a dumb idea and you can't make money off of it, and it's just going to be a hole in your wallet, in your community's wallet.
Yeah, and if it's economically unfeasible, then maybe we should start looking at those things. So talking about a bullet train, what are the bullet trains great? It moves people around, but it's going to cost the taxpayers. There's no way it's ever going to pay for itself. It's going to cost them $100 million a year, and you're going to have to pay for it in taxes.
And there's an awful lot of land that's going to have to be acquired.
Right.
And
people
how's that going to happen?
Their property for that whole path.
Yeah, are those properties going to be purchased, and who's going to purchase them? Or are they going to be
They'll
taken?
use eminent domain, and they'll wind up giving people pennies on the dollar for the value. Sarah, thank you for the call. Let's go to Jeff. Calling in from, I believe this is Illinois. Jeff, you're listening to WRMN. You're on Free Talk Live.
Thank you. I figured out what to do with Ralph and Sarah.
Okay.
Marry them. No duel.
So what you're referencing, we had a caller call in earlier in the show that mentioned that he wanted to have a verbal duel of sorts. And then whoever winds up losing the duel would never be allowed to call into Free Talk Live. And you're saying that we should go the opposite way and start up like a Free Talk Live arranged marriage situation and have Ralph, who lives in New Jersey, marry Sarah, who lives in New Mexico.
Yeah, they're on opposite sides of the country.
Hold on.
That's okay.
Greyhound has bus routes. And we know how much she loves public transit. She could take a Greyhound to New Jersey.
Do you think who's going to move where? Or is it going to be a long distance?
What does she got? She doesn't have a house.
So she's gonna live in.
She doesn't have a house, right?
Yeah, she's gonna live in Ralph's.
She
attic.
can move in with Ralph and just take public transit all the way to New Jersey.
I think that if maybe one night a week, maybe we did an hour long, the Free Talk Live dating game.
That is very interesting.
Do you like it?
I'm
Keep it zero instead of a dueling pistol.
I like it, okay. Jeff. Thank you for the idea. And maybe next Thursday we will have Dating Hour on Free Talk Live.
We got to get Sarah listening to the show.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com. Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size for incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency. Get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Daryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And let's head to Skype, where we have David calling in on Skype. David, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, hey, excuse me. Sarah and Ralph, you're doing matchmaking.
David, you were breaking up. I don't know if there's a
Filipino,
problem
right?
with your internet connection or if...
How about now?
We can try it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was in the vehicle and it was blocking the signal a little bit from the tower. Tell me if it gets bad again. I was saying you're doing some matchmaking with
it's
Sarah and
getting
Ralph.
bad. We are going to have to... I'll put you on hold and I'll try coming back to you in just a couple of moments. But I think he wanted to continue with the thought that the previous caller had about doing some sort of matchmaking between a couple of our callers.
I think
Sarah in New Mexico and Ralph in New Jersey.
I don't think
He alluded to
based
Mary.
on I don't know Ralph's political ideology, but I'm pretty sure it's going to clash with Sarah.
I think I do.
But it might. But opposites attract, and so you might get a. You might.
Oh,
get a,
right. Who's the bald Cajun guy that's
just
Democrat married to the
Mary
uber
Matlin
conservative?
And, God, what is
James
his?
Carville.
James
And,
Carville.
of course, you
the
got
lizard.
Ralph, who is hard to understand, and so you have a language barrier, and that's a good thing as well. So they can focus on the stuff that matters, getting physical.
I see where you're going.
And the language. So if there is problems with ideology, well, I don't know what you're telling me, so it's all right.
It's that value of language. Didn't we talk about that before too?
Wow.
Yep.
So speaking of language and people that speak a different one, Puerto Rico. Which, I always am intrigued by Puerto Rico and the fact that Americans generally don't understand a lot about Puerto Rico. Because
even though it's the 51st, second, or third state,
it's
none
a
of
territory.
those. Still a territory.
But it is a territory of the United States. And I've heard, various things. Who was the Supreme Court Justice? Sotomayor, who... her family is originally from Puerto Rico, but whenever she had been nominated for the Supreme Court thing, the news media always said, Sotomayor, whose parents are Puerto Rican immigrants. Okay, that's like saying, somebody that moves from California to
Utah
Kentucky
immigrant.
is an immigrant.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, we had a
So
couple.
what's going on down in Puerto Rico other than a huge debt crisis that hasn't really gotten as much mainstream coverage as one would think?
Not much lately, but right now the headline is, and this comes to us from AP, most Puerto Ricans face a second night without electricity. This also ties into our survival talk earlier. San Juan, Puerto Rico, AP, most Puerto Ricans face another night of darkness Thursday as crews slowly restored electricity a day after a fire at a power plant caused the aging utility grid to fail and blacked out the entire island of 3.5 million people.
The entire island wound up losing power.
Yes.
Yeah, usually these things happen, and coming from Florida, this happened quite often when the hurricanes went through there. That's when you lost your power. But if your grid is so old and dilapidated that it's...
Yeah.
Well, the American electric grid, even on, what the Puerto Ricans would consider the mainland, is pretty old and dilapidated.
Yep, that it is. Only about 20% of the 1.5 million homes and businesses served by the power utility had power back by Thursday afternoon. And Governor Alejandro Garcia Padilla said they are hoping half would be reconnected by the end of the day. Nearly all were expected to get electricity again Friday, said Garcia, who declared a state of emergency. Garcia expressed sympathy for people's frustrations over the outage, which comes amid a decades-long economic crunch that has worn down Puerto Ricans. We all want the system to be back on, the governor said. Let's hold someone responsible for this. Blame me. I'll take the blame.
Now, that's something you don't hear government officials say that often. I would dare say this is probably the first time I've ever read a quote where a governor or a high-ranking government bureaucrat or government elected official ever said, "I'm responsible, blame me." Or rather, I will be considered responsible.
Unless he doesn't plan on running again because he's retiring. Or
yeah, to me, I found this article interesting because Puerto Rico it has been a disaster since we received Puerto Rico from the Spanish that was a Spanish-American War, correct, Daryl?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so that and the Philippines.
And Cuba. Most people don't realize that Cuba was part of the winnings of the U.S. government after the Spanish-American War, but for some reason, the U.S. government decided, we don't want Cuba, they can become independent.
Yep. And some people may have seen, like, I'm trying to think of the show, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. He did a thing on Puerto Rico talking about how it's not a state, but Washington continues to regulate it. And the long and the short of it is we go back through history, we made it very, very attractive for Puerto Rican investments to be seen as sort of municipal grade.
Yes.
And for them to sell bonds and things like that. It pretty much made it very desirable and provided all the incentives for them to sell their debt, which they did over and over and over again.
And then to forbid them from filing Chapter 9 bankruptcy, which is municipal bankruptcy that places like Jefferson County, Alabama, and I believe Orange County, California, and Detroit, and
Harrisburg,
several other places have done.
Yeah. So it's really caused a real mess down there, and it got so bad that, and Daryl and I were sort of commenting, why did this sort of fall out of the news? I've got to research that a little bit more, but there was a big thing this summer talking about how are we going to deal with the debt
restructuring. We're just going to restructure the debt. And the last news story that I remember reading was there was some debt restructure, but Puerto Rico would still have to make their payments, and they were going to miss a payment and thus default. And that's the last story that I read.
Yeah. But they've had issues going back to the 1920 Jones Act, which limits Puerto Rico's ability to import and export goods. And this is, I think, from Cato, but islanders have higher than normal transportation costs due to their remote locations. Islands do. But pre-New Deal era law drives up the cost even more for Puerto Rico. The Jones Act decrees that goods being shipped between U.S. ports must be on a U.S. chartered ship with a U.S. crew. That means goods coming from the mainland can't come on the most cost-competitive vessel. They must go with one of 4 U.S. shippers who actually operate that route. So you really limit the competition.
And that also, explains to some extent why food costs are so high in Hawaii.
Sure. And that we get, but at least in Hawaii, there is a free market for shipping. You know what I mean? You can, there's not a restriction saying that you can only travel on. Really?
Jones Act apply because between U.S. ports.
I guess maybe you're right.
So if something's going from San Diego or San Francisco to Beijing, China, unless it's a U.S. ship, it cannot stop off in Honolulu.
Gotcha. Point noted. But, I mean, so we have all these issues with government involvement since the creation or the ownership, since we took ownership of Puerto Rico. We've hampered them with all sorts of laws, regulations, and then we've pretty much stacked it so that, yes, you're going to come up with all this debt and you're not going to have a way out of it, and then they ask us to bail it out. And then we see what's happening as this country or as this territory pretty much falls apart.
Right, and with most of the crises that are in the news right now where somebody's looking to government for a solution, it's government that created the problem in the first place. Your calls and thoughts welcome in the closing moments. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get...
Hey, David, I want to see how you sound right now before I try bringing you back on the air.
Okay, how's this?
All right, you're sounding good right now. So whatever you're doing right now, stay there. We're on a break. I'll bring you back when we come back.
Already.
Incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-945-1063. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-945-1063. That's 1-800-945-1063.
You haven't experienced yogurt until you've tried a Mossy, embodying health and flavor in a true whole milk, green-fed dairy beverage. Every sip pays homage to our old world cows and the ancient culturing methods their milk benefits from. With over 30 probiotics, a Mossy's undeniably nutritious, refined, cultured sensation bolsters your health and awakens your passion for dairy. A Mossy's so good, and you need to try it. Contact your Youngevity distributor or call 877-878-4203 or go to gcnteam.com.
GCN and Youngevity are bringing Dr. Joe Wallach to Hawaii for the first time in 20 years. Aloha, I'm Melina, Senior Vice Chairman with Youngevity GCN team. Exclusive to GCN, you have the opportunity to meet and greet with Dr. Joe Wallach of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. For leaders that want to support GCN, your health and wealth, visit wallachhawaii.com, teamg'day.com, or call 808-436-5025.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST hosting.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Possibly time for you and your thoughts if you call in right now to 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Daryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And let's go back to David calling in on Skype. David, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, on the survival stuff you were talking about earlier. But first of all, Sarah and Ralph. Ralph is from Philippines, is that right?
Originally, yes. Now lives in New Jersey.
Okay, cool. And Philippines is Southeast Asian and Hispanic peoples. And Sarah is from Southeast Asia as well. And
oh, really? She's from New Mexico.
Well, she's lives here now, but Sarah is Southeast Asian and Hispanic.
Really?
From seeing her and hearing her describe her family on the local radio. So they're quite a close match, actually.
So
what
you
programs did you call
have
into?
heard Sarah before. I'm guessing you live in New Mexico then.
Yeah, Sarah goes all the way on local radio here in Albuquerque. She goes on KKOB 770, the KKOB. She goes all the way back to, I don't know what it was, 2008, 2009 is when she started calling in to the local radio.
What does she talk about on those programs? Is it the
What do you
transit
think?
system?
What do you think? Yeah,
Traffic
so
and
everything.
mass transit.
Yeah, right. So it's funny to listen to you guys talk to her because it's the same stuff we've all listened to her talk about for the last, 8 years or more.
She's also admitted that she doesn't even listen to this show.
Yeah, I think that she might listen to it. She, like I said before, she has an Obama phone, and so she's Obama phone. I think they get 200 minutes a month, and after that they got to pay for them. So I think that the reason that she doesn't, and she also does not have a computer. So
right, she had said that she doesn't have a computer, she doesn't have a smartphone. David, I would love to continue this, but we've got other calls on the line. Call in earlier.
Yeah, we'll do the survival stuff a different day.
Yep. Call in earlier. We are live all 7 nights of the week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern, adjust for time zones and, of course, daylight shifting time if you observe or do not. Let's go to Darius calling in from Canada, the friendly neighbor to the north of us. Darius, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, I've been thinking about here in Toronto, and you know what? I think that people that are receiving government assistance should not be able to vote because that seems to be a conflict of interest.
So when you say people receiving government assistance, does that include people that are government employees?
No, but I see where you're going with that. I was trying to make fun of Sarah over there because that's how she always every time. Oh my God, it gets so annoying.
Are you including all levels of government assistance? Like, what about like student tuition assistance or?
I was just kidding there, but I don't agree. I don't agree with any government assistance at all.
I got your sarcasm. Thank you. I found it humorous. Thank you.
Well, there are some people that actually believe that and suggest that. So
and I feel sorry for them.
You never can quite be sure if somebody is being serious or if they have their tongue firmly planted in their cheek.
I agree. Agreed. And another thing, with regard to Ralph, I live in Toronto, and we have a multicultural society here, and I know a lot of Filipino people and a lot of Caribbean people. And this guy, Ralph, sounds to be more of a Caribbean descent than he does of a Filipino descent.
Yeah, I always thought he was Jamaican or something.
Exactly, or from the Bahamas, somewhere from the Caribbean. So
I wonder if we should wind up raising money to do a 23andMe for Ralph to find out exactly what his genetic makeup is.
I'll throw in $50, man. If you throw in 50, I'll throw in 50.
Darius, thank you for
Love you
the
guys.
call.
Take care.
Thanks.
Let's go to California where we've got Joe calling in. Joe, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes, I was calling in to ask about the situation here in the United States about all the protests over police shootings. Do you think by any chance, by the wildest imagination, Obama will call a state of emergency or something where he would be able to stay in longer as president?
I have heard speculation, I would say, for about the last 9-10 years or so of, the president's going to wind up, doing this thing and not ever leaving office. There was the claim that George Bush was going to do it back in 2008, prevent anybody from taking over, and now people are, speculating that Obama's going to do it. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't disagree that he may not want that to happen. But
remember George Bush said that, it would be great if this was a dictatorship so long as I was the dictator.
Right. The next thing, real quick, is with our infrastructure being as bad as it is, we could end up like the Philippines real quick. In Alabama, they had a gas line break, and it closed gas pumps for quite a while.
Yeah, we
And
actually
so
had people calling in throughout the Southeast saying that they had driven around all day in metro Atlanta and could not find any gas to fill up their car.
Our infrastructure is in horrible shape. And, yeah, we are absolutely vulnerable, not just to, terrorism's an obvious thing because we do have choke points. We have points in our electrical grid that if you take out one, it can affect a whole region. But then we have years and years and years of government meddling in the utility business that
creating too big to fail sorts of things. We can't let the gasoline industry go bad because how would people drive? Well, here's an idea. And no, I'm not going to say corn ethanol because that's just absolutely ridiculous, because the feds wind up giving $30 in subsidies for every $1 of actual profit that these companies make. But if industry, weren't as regulated, you would see, I think, more use of what they call carbon gasification. And that was actually created by some biology professor at the University of West Alabama, to where he found this process to where you could take anything, take the corn stalk or dead trees, anything, and put it through this gasification process, and then you create an ethanol, and you don't have to then incentivize people to grow a certain crop and then take stuff out of the food supply.
Yeah, Doc Brown had one on his DeLorean. I don't remember what was it called? The Gas-O-Matic or
Mr. Fusion. I think.
Fusion. Yeah.
But I think that
I'm talking about reality. You're talking about television.
Sci-fi reality is based. Movies. A lot of times it works well hand in hand with sci-fi.
Yeah, but I think my point is that you have tremendous levels of government regulatory oversight and meddling with our people that provide us with gas and electric and all the things that we need, and that stuff just gets in the way. If you can imagine how many billions of dollars could have been spent on upgrades versus green
power.
Well, forget about green, but just being in compliance with whatever federal standards they say you have to be compliant with to run electrical wires from point A to point B. It's overwhelming, and that it has a lot to do with why we are where we are.
Yeah, and then I don't know if any of you guys saw the story recently where the Department of Transportation, some subdivision thereof, came up with these regulations on self-driving cars. And Obama had some kind of statement where he was saying, there are some people that think that there should not be any regulations in free enterprise. I disagree. The quickest way to destroy a thing is to not have any trust in the system. And it's like, really? You think that you can regulate people to trust a system? Everything that's ever been recalled by the USDA or the FDA has first been approved by those agencies.
But most people never give that a thought. Never.
Most people don't think. The electronic devices that we're using right now were not, passed through some federal sort of approval process. They all went to Underwriters Laboratory, or at least most of them went to Underwriters Laboratory, which is a private company that electronic manufacturers, they want that seal of approval. They want people to know this has been certified as being a good device.
And when they do make a mistake, Samsung note, they get them off the shelves and out of the people's hands as quickly as they could because their business is very important to them.
And then 3 weeks later, the federal government winds up putting in a recall for the exact thing that Samsung recalled. Joe, thank you for the call. If you had thoughts, well, you can call back tomorrow night because we are live every night of the week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern and always online at freetalklive.com.
Angioprim can unclog blocked arteries and improve blood flow in all parts of your body. Angioprim is oral chelation. Easy, simple, liquid oral chelation. You take it with juice before breakfast and forget about it. Angioprim works fast, unlike old-fashioned chelation that takes hours. Just log on to angioprim.com. That's Angioprim, ANGIOPRIM, angioprim.com. Angioprim users say they have more energy, more strength, more endurance. Increased circulation and blood flow will make all your body parts work better.